Okay, so thank you everyone for joining today. This is wonderful to be able to actually see your faces, if not in person. Virtual is the next best thing. And typically we would be approving minutes from last meeting. However, that was quite some time ago, so we don't necessarily have any minutes to review and approve. But I do want to maybe just introduce everyone who has signed on. So I'm Sue Price, Chair, and we'll just go down, whoever wants to go and introduce themselves next.
Joe Walicki.
We should say something about where we live, something we like about our house.
Oh, well, I'm just a block away from the meeting spot of Marion Allen, so I get to the meetings pretty quick at the church.
And I have a great view, especially for the illegal fireworks that some other hill might be setting off, but it's still enjoyable.
You're right.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, Mike, go ahead.
The problem with these meetings. I'm Mike Cero. I'm with Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District, and I also live in the West Beaverton neighborhood on 160th and Colleen Court. And our house was kind of a dump when we bought it 3 years ago, and it looks great. So, happy about it.
And I can vouch for that. His house does look great.
Thanks.
I'm Cate Arnold. I live up on the corner of 160th and 162nd, just a little bit down the hill from Mount Williams Park. And the favorite thing I've liked about my house is that we have a daylight basement. So the kids, especially when they're teenagers, can be down there, and we've got a level in between us, so I could sleep at night and not have to worry about all their noise.
Richard Crimi, and I guess the nice thing I like about my house is I got lettuce growing out front, so that's my lunch every day right now.
There you go.
I'm Miles Glowacki with the City of Beaverton's neighborhood program, and I don't live in your neighborhood, but I've been through it many times.
I think we probably, have we caught everybody that we have on air so far?
Hi.
Nope, we got one.
Oh, yeah.
Amy,
Konnette.
and I'm also with City of Beaverton. I work in the Community Development Department, but I previously worked in the neighborhood program, and I'm your staff liaison. Happy to be here. Oh, and I love my big windows in my apartment.
And I'm Konnette Etheridge, and I'm from, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm from the Highland neighborhood, and I love about my house is I have a big dog that roams around the premises.
Oh.
Not a cat, but a dog.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for doing that. And it doesn't look like we would have necessarily fire or police report, but Amy, didn't you mention that, isn't it the fire department that is putting their reports on virtual video?
That was my understanding, but Miles might have an update on that if they're still doing that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a new one come out from them. The last one I saw is pretty old. And we do have Officer Andler here to give the police report.
Right.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead with Officer Andler then?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
You sent me a thing with all these questions, so I got all that covered. Those are big questions. So as far as a report, it's been a long time and a lot has happened. This is probably the biggest year in policing that anybody can remember. So it's a lot to fill in on. I might need a little direction.
What about any particular significant calls for the West Beaverton neighborhood? Did you experience any of those or have a report on any of those?
For West Beaverton, not in particularly, not recently. Most of the information I'll have for you guys is kind of trends of the last year and what's been happening for the police as far as how this has all gone for us. because it's changed how we do business quite a bit. But I
That
can't
sounds perfect.
anything. Miles had sent a question that was, how is policing changed during COVID and George Floyd? That's a monster question. So I'm going to tackle it a little bit at a time. Some of the changes we're seeing had already begun prior to that, which was, it's very hard to take people to jail. Most people that we arrest fake a medical condition or claim to have swallowed heroin. And most of the people we arrest go to the hospital first, which frequently, and I tell you this because I don't think people know this, due to liability concerns, it's very hard to get somebody to jail without the jail sending them to the hospital first. So hospitals where people go when you arrest them to go to jail. Most of it is lying about swallowing drugs and a lot of other medical complaints that are not legitimate. We obviously have to take care of people. So most people go to the hospital. So we were already pretty hands tied prior to all this, as far as holding people accountable for the crimes they were committing. And then once, and COVID and George Floyd are two different things. COVID made it so that the only people that can go to jail are A and B felonies. So we have been arresting people who are committing property crimes and nuisance crimes for the last year plus. And some of them have been arrested 15, 16 times and have never been adjudicated on any of their arrests or gone to jail ever, just to be booked. And we frequently find the tickets we give them laying on the ground. So there's a boldness amongst people that commit crimes that we've never seen in our lives, in how they talk to us, treat us, and how little they care about the crimes they're committing. And I'm talking property crimes, shoplift, littering, nuisance behaviors, breaking windows, damaging property, things like that, breaking into cars, stuff like that. So if you guys aren't seeing it a lot, that's awesome. But it's happening a lot. Crime is very much up. So those folks haven't been able to go to jail. And so they're very emboldened. On top of that, everybody wears a mask. So shoplifting is through the roof. Most stores are not even stopping shoplifters until they hit a certain threshold. Kohl's is over $500. And most people just take off because there's no penalties. So there's a lot of frustration as far as our ability to, what we think is, hold people accountable for taking advantage of other members in the community. So we've been very, very busy. There's been a lot of calls. It's been a high call volume. At the beginning of COVID, it was light because everybody was kind of hunkered down. And as soon as people got out and about, it's been pretty much through the roof. So very noticeable. Do you guys notice anything as far as citizens in the community, observations you've had for your neighborhood or the city?
I haven't noticed so much as far as real crime going on. I've noticed, of course, I leave the house pretty early in the morning, usually 4:30 in the morning. And I have noticed people walking around that typically wouldn't be out there. So I'm not sure. Usually I slow down and kind of try to keep an eye on them to see if they're headed toward a car. Oh, I did notice that one time. I did call that in. There was a car with doors open. So I haven't really noticed a whole lot other than that one incident.
Can I ask a question?
You bet.
If someone were to go into my garage and grab stuff that I have in there, would that, I mean, is that lower level where, oh, well? Or
Yep.
Is that something you would actually arrest and take them to jail?
Well, we arrest. So arrest means, you can do two kinds of arrest. You can lodge somebody, which means we fingerprint them, take their picture, and mostly, but it gives them a timeout. We take them to our jail, then we drive them to Washington County and they sit a little bit. They get a timeout. Even if they get recogged or released within 12 hours, there's a break because a lot of them are on drugs when they're doing that. And some of the behavior, we've had some tremendously bad behavior we were getting assaulted and we couldn't take them to jail. So we've had some conflicts with the jail. When we're being punched, they don't go to jail. So they're definitely not going to go to jail for going in your garage, and definitely not for shoplifting or breaking a window or anything like that. So it's more the emboldening. So nobody seems to really care. They can just continue to do what they're doing. It's changing, but basically it's been A and B felonies. A burglary, they went inside your home with people there, maybe they take them. So it's been remarkable. I pick up tickets all the time. Those are arrests. We arrested them for a crime, but it's Portland rules. Here's your ticket. Show up in court. And what normally happens when you don't show up in court is you get a warrant and then they address it on the second time. Now we go, here's your ticket. If you do it again, we'll give you another ticket. And then after that, we'll give you another ticket. So we've been on 1.25 years of tickets only for everything below a B felony.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, Officer, is there a solution to this problem?
Nope. It's set by, it's like, it would be like saying, don't wear a mask. It's COVID rules. And it's for the same reasons that people are at home. The jail's obviously a pretty high risk environment because it's close quarters, not a lot of air circulation. And that's the reason. And it's understandable, but I guess my point to folks, if they're not seeing it, is that it's absolutely spectacular from our point of view, how behaviors are changing among a group of people who are the main folks we deal with on a daily basis. It can be daunting. So if you're not seeing it, we're happy. We feel like we're at least accomplishing something.
Thank you.
Yep.
Officer Andler, I've been hearing a lot about catalytic converter thefts.
Oh, buddy. Yeah.
And I thought we changed the law about how those are recycled. So I'm wondering what they're doing with them once they get them.
Well, Priuses have 2 catalytic converters, and they are getting, this is to a buyer who then sells to an actual recycler. So this is an intermediary. Cutting 2 cats off of a newer Prius can get the person $500. So that's the street price from the intermediary. So it's phenomenally lucrative. And then the intermediary sells it to another party. So there are basically, it means that the drug addict who got under the Prius and cut it off with a Sawzall and a cordless Sawzall isn't having to go to the recycler directly. So like all laws, there's ways around them. And they're so lucrative right now that catalytic converter thefts are worse than I've ever seen them. And they were bad about 9 years ago, and this is way worse. Priuses are getting hit the hardest for sure, but very lucrative for them. You guys there?
Yeah, any other questions?
No, I'm good.
What about more serious crime? I know you're talking about anything below a B felony was just a ticket. So you're saying what would it really take to be truly arrested like the old days?
Well, they're certainly dealing with any person crimes. The crimes that are mandatory that go to jail, anything domestic violence, even minor domestic violence where there's not an injury, as long as it's domestic violence, they have to go to jail. And that's not they stay in jail. That just means you go and get booked. And if you don't have a reason to hold on to them, they'll be recogged with a release agreement, but it gives you that break, that timeout from the drinking or the drugs that's driving the bad behavior. So domestic violence, even if it's only a misdemeanor, goes. Any person crime, as long as it rises to a felony level. And I think we're to the point of weapons, C felony weapons and things like that. So somebody, like we had a guy rushing us with a knife trying to commit suicide. So that crime is unlawful use of a weapon. You can't run at the police with a knife to try and make them shoot you. And he was lodged. So we are getting to lodge people when there's a person violence element, which is good. But the shocking one has been people attack us and they don't get lodged. That was the most alarming trend of the year. So punch in the face and they get a ticket. So we actually took one guy out to jail who attacked us and they wouldn't take him. He went around the corner and attacked somebody else. So they're doing the best they can. The jail does have to be careful, but it's the point mainly is it's a side of COVID you may not be seeing, but it's a big impact on our life for being able to do our job to help the community.
Well, we certainly appreciate the work you do and all the other officers do. Sorry that it's such a hassle.
It's not a hassle. It's just, I think it's more depressing.
Oh,
deeply frustrating. So we're still working. We're doing the best we can, but it's hard to overstate barriers there have been to us. We're not doing police work like we recall police work to be done, and it's frustrating. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, officer. Appreciate the report.
No
yeah,
problem.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, and you're free to go.
Oh, well, I didn't get to say what I like about
Oh, wait, please do.
We got a puppy. So I'm gonna go play with the puppy. We got very happy children with a rescue dog that's a little puppy.
Oh, well, congratulations on your new family member.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, we'll hopefully see you all in person soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Then up next on our agenda will be Mike with the THPRD update.
Thank you, Sue. Well, it's good to be back, even if it's virtual. Yeah, it's been a long time since we met, and Tualatin Hill has undergone a lot of changes, much like the rest of the world and a lot of governments. We're still, we're not running at full speed, not where we were before the pandemic, but we're coming back and we've reopened a lot. And throughout the last year, we shut down significantly, just like everybody right away. We experienced big time layoffs, and as the year progressed, we were able to bring back some of the part-time help that we needed. And as things opened, reopened, we were, kind of brought some people back, and then we closed again, and it's been this back and forth, but we're on a little bit more of a steady trajectory right now. Still, we're following all the state and Oregon Health Authority guidance as far as masks go. So we're taking direction from the state and working closely, I know, with the Beaverton School District as far as, our policies and, what we're requiring in our open facilities. And when you're not socially distanced in parks, you still got to wear masks. And but we're hopeful. I think, we're hopeful, just like a lot of the world is hopeful, that we're coming, potentially coming out of this thing for real and looking good. So feel good about it. We do have our summer camps. We had summer camps last year that were really strange. They're going to be a little strange again until, things continue to reopen, but we do have registration open. Those will start June 20th or 21st, middle end of June. And we're really excited about that. We're hiring for a lot of positions right now. So like I was saying before we started, get on our website, and if you know people that need work or people that want to work, we have a lot of different positions, a lot of different shifts and schedules, and the park district has a lot of really cool jobs, especially entry-level jobs. If there's young people that are finishing school and are, you know, are going to be on summer break and looking for something to do. So the best place to go for that is either our website or governmentjobs.com, which is the website that hosts all of our jobs. We did actually today host a virtual job fair. I don't know what the platform was, but it was from 3 to 6. And it was just it was our way of trying to do something to explain about the different positions and opportunities at the park district. So that has been a big push for us. I work in the park maintenance department, and I know that because we do require a driver's license, you got to be 18, you know, you're operating equipment. It's not every position is just you know, we have some entry-level jobs, but not all of them are. So if you know people that are in the landscape maintenance world looking for a job or an opportunity or extra hours or whatever, send them our way, because we desperately need them. You know, as the world shut down and the parks got really busy, we realized just how important it is to keep up on that. Other than that, you know, we got a lot of volunteer opportunities always throughout the summer. We have our Memorial Day celebration at Veterans Park that we do every year, that we'll be doing again this year. And then various grants and mobile rec and other stuff. That's, you know, the best place to find the activities is on the activities tab of our website. But there's a lot going on, a lot more than people might realize, other than just dropping stuff in the park. So if you want to connect, or if you want to just enjoy or whatever, you know, we've got quite a bit going on. I'm happy to take some questions. you know, the original email I got from Sue is, you know, where are we at with the guidance? And obviously different guidance came out pretty recently. So by our next meeting, you know, who knows what that'll look like, but I'm happy to take some questions if you got any.
Yep, I got one. How's your budget these days? Is it going up, going down? Do you have enough money to do all you need to do, or are you kind of stretched?
Well, so we made significant reductions last year. We'll normally do you know, we have a mid-year review that we normally do. We did quarterly reviews starting after July, starting at the beginning of the pandemic, but then, you know, we've been reviewing the budget more regularly. It was lean, you know, about 30% of you know, what we do depends on revenue. And so with all the rec centers and all the pools and all the, you know, everything closed, that was a big chunk. And that was hard because it resulted in a lot of layoffs or a lot of furloughs based on what we just could not do. But I think that, you know, we've got really good leadership. We've got a real smart CFO in our business and facilities, just our business division now, you know, that I have a lot of confidence that we've stabilized and we understand where we're at and what we can do. It's a balancing act, because you know, you want to, when you gear up to open something that's been closed for a long time, you got to invest, not a little bit, you got to invest in order to get that to a safe level where people are comfortable coming back. And what we found throughout the year is, well, how comfortable are people? You know, it's uncharted waters, and we can open a center, a pool, and we don't know exactly how much people are going to want to use it. And you go through the process of hiring people weeks before you open it, and new disinfecting and cleaning procedures, and a lot goes in on the front end. But we went through, you know, we've been through that a little bit of back and forth, and I think that we're in a good place now. We did adopt a regular budget. We adopted a normal budget that for fiscal year 23, or for fiscal year 22, excuse me, which starts July 1st of this year and runs through June of next year. We anticipate that we'll be going through budget exercises regularly throughout the year. You know, in my department, a lot of it is, well, we're a service. Maintenance is service. So we have fields going. How many people do you need to hire to take care of those fields? How much seed and fertilizer do you need to buy? How many dog bags and garbage things do you need to buy? And you just, the demand. I think we have a better idea this year than we did last year of what it's going to look like. And so I know that we adopted a normal budget with the expectation, I believe, that we'll go through the exercise and monitor it throughout the year.
Great. All right. Thanks a lot. Well, good luck. You guys do great work, by the way.
Thank you.
Great work.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your report, Mike.
Yeah.
And good seeing you.
Yeah. Good seeing you too.
Now you can go into role of fellow neighborhood member.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So next on our agenda, we do have our guest speaker, Konnette. Or Konnette, am I pronouncing your name right?
That's right. Thank you.
Okay, good.
I'm going to try.
And
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
I have a PowerPoint I want to talk from. I'll try to share that, if that's all right.
Yes.
Let's see. Do you guys see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, let me get to the page I'm going to start on. Okay, well, I am a member of the Highland Neighborhood Association, but also I'm on the BCCI, and I am heading up the traffic calming work group. And so that's what I'm here to talk with you all about tonight. We have had many concerns of late about the traffic calming processes and about traffic in general in our neighborhoods. And the good news is that we do have a process for addressing those and for requesting traffic calming. That process has started in 1998 and revised in 2015. So it has been working for us for a little while. But there's been, so here's some of what has been going on with traffic and the projects. Traffic count information has been done in the city on a regular basis since 2014. And those counts up until 2019 have indicated steadily increasing neighborhood traffic. And some areas of the neighborhoods are impacted more acutely than other areas. In 2020, it would be interesting to know the traffic counts dropped. Probably because of COVID. And I don't know what will happen eventually as we emerge from COVID, if they'll return to the higher levels or not, but that is something to watch. So from 1999 to 2017, there were 23 traffic calming projects that did pass, and all of these had a low number of no return votes. But from 2018 to 2021, 4 of the 5 projects failed. That's kind of what brought this to my attention as a board member of Highland Park. And also, as I understand, the BCCI had convened a work group that I joined once I became a part of BCCI. To kind of address this. In looking at the data, we feel that the no return vote process was substantially the reason for the failures. We were what happens with no return votes is that they are added to the no vote. When there's a final vote that's taken after a long traffic calming process I'll go over in a little bit. But these no return votes are added to the no votes, even if the no votes may be only 5 or 10% of the total votes of designated votes. We have projects that were failing when positive returns were at 51% or greater, and the percentage of positive votes overall was of designated votes was higher, even in the 63% and 88% area. And
Are you saying just, oh yeah, for clarification on the no return, that means that they didn't respond to the question about whether they want traffic calming or not? Is that what no return means?
Yeah, the traffic calming project culminates in a final vote from the community, and these are it's not the entire neighborhood. It's the households that are designated as part of the project. And this is these last four, this project data is from these last four traffic calming projects. So yes, you can see the not returned votes are added to the no votes, and despite whatever the yes votes are, very often that means that there's failure. So for instance, on Wilson was one of the projects in Highland that failed. They had a 58% yes votes, 17% no votes. But when you added the not returned votes to the no votes, the project failed. So this is kind of what, and then let me.
Can I ask you a question? How do they count the no votes? I mean, like, are they households? How does that come about? There's no votes. Can you go back to that other screen?
Oh yes, this one.
Yeah. Okay. So under Wilson, number yes votes needed to pass 57, no votes, not returned 25%.
Yes. So yes and no votes are returned votes. You actually, a ballot is received where someone marks either yes or no.
Right.
So for instance, you would have 106 votes of a designated votes. That means that there's 106 households affected by this that have been deemed affected by this project. And votes are sent and ballots are sent out to them. If it's a rental, both the renter and the owner may vote. And
who keeps tracks of this? Who keep tracks of all these votes, all these letters going out? Is it the city or?
I think it's the city traffic engineers. They work in conjunction with the traffic commission, which is a community board that has residents appointed to it.
Okay.
It's part of our transportation department in the city.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jump in on any of that if you can fill in the holes that I leave. So I think though that leads us into just kind of looking at the traffic calming project and process in general, and what's kind of been so heartbreaking to some of the residents that have been part of the failed projects. This is about a 7-step process. The first step in the process is to determine eligibility and complete an application process, and for a 6-month period of time to use lower level of traffic calming, something not permanent, maybe something simple as a sign versus something more physically constructed. Any of those are due by September, and by the end of the year, a ranking and priority process happens and projects are selected for the following year. Right now we have 2 projects, 155 on 155th Street, I believe. That's Northwest Southwest neighborhood. And if selected, you go on to the next phases. If you're not selected, your neighborhood application stays on the list for 4 years. The traffic, then there is a traffic study and a resident support survey to see if they should indeed go ahead with this, with developing a project for this application. The traffic study, they want to demonstrate that people are traveling on that road at speeds in excess of posted 85% of the time. And they send out a survey to which 51% of designated, and this is the designated project area, 51% of designated residents must indicate they desire traffic calming. Following that, the traffic engineers develop a project design and make recommendations for funding. There's public hearings, and there's public hearings, and a lot of work is done at that time, trying to figure out what a good solution to the problems that have been identified might be. And then then that is followed by a final designated resident vote, which must pass with 67% of designated resident votes, not of return votes, but of designated resident votes. If you get that 67%, which is very difficult at this time, it seems, a project is scheduled and funding is secured. And funding there is designated funding for these projects, and my understanding is that if the funding that's available isn't enough, that there can be an application to council for additional funding. After that, a project is put in place and constructed and completed. It is also monitored to make sure that it doesn't have untoward effects and should be reversed. So, any questions about all of that? It's well, so tonight what I'm doing is coming to you kind of with two questions. One is, well, before I leave what I've just said there, one of my concerns is that even when the traffic engineering process has determined that there is a traffic concern, a speeding concern specifically, if the project fails, there's no mitigation of that finding. So anyway, with two questions that I have for you guys tonight is, do you have current concerns related to traffic within your neighborhood? And would you support a change in the voting process to improve the impact of yes and no votes, with the following as an example? With a 67% return of designated project votes. So we're not saying that you could have 10 votes come in and have a declared winner in the vote, but that you need a 67% return of designated project votes, and the project is accepted at a return of 67% of yes votes. Votes not returned are not included in the vote process, and there'd be no change to the abstention vote.
I support it.
You would support that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. On
Yeah.
average, have you heard how many houses usually are involved in a decision like this?
It varies. Yeah, I've looked that up from the old, from the prior to 2017, and it varies widely. I think you can have anywhere from like 30 or 40 up to over a few over 100. And I think that's a good point, because when you have a project that involves 100 households, it's a much harder, and we're talking about a project process that lasts maybe 2 years. It's a very difficult to get that kind of a project passed. Also, some of these larger projects, they really involve more than that designated area. The Wilson project in Highland, for instance, is has two schools, the elementary school and the middle school, that line it, and people's children walk that beyond the project area and are affected by the traffic on Wilson, beyond what might be designated. And then, yeah.
Yeah, and one more question too. I think there's a limit. So there's certain types of roads, like a neighborhood road is right in front of your street, and then they have what's called collectors, where some streets go into another street. So for me, like 162nd goes into 160th, that goes down to Hart, and then there's what's called arterials. And I don't think we allow traffic calming when at a certain level. Do you remember, Konnette, what that is? Or
You know, I'm not sure I can tell you specifically, but there are certain things such as roads that are used as primary pathways for emergency vehicles, for instance, or and it has to, and I believe it has, these are streets that are with a posted speed of 25 miles per hour as a criteria. So there are some, yes, there are criteria. And there's a criteria, there's a concern that if you do something to one street, that it will just simply push the traffic off to another street. One of my concerns has been that some neighborhoods probably would benefit from a look at the whole neighborhood instead of a street by street process. I have in front of my house, we have people that pass through traffic that comes in on Hargis and makes several turns before it connects with Hart Road. That's a really hard street to put through this kind of a traffic calming process. And I don't know how it probably is a much more complicated to try to alleviate that as traffic problems. But with the increasing traffic happening from west to east and east to west, I think these are probably going to be a concern for West Beaverton, as well as Highland and some of our more westerly neighborhoods.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Does traffic include speeding cars?
Yes.
I live on Murray, and I cannot count the number of times I have heard cars speeding up and down outside the outside of the street, and it's annoying sometimes.
Yes, I think we've talked with our police representative about there seems to be a increase in recreational speeding of some sort, and sometimes it's just the street itself is irresistible. I think it's just a straight shot from one point to another. People are trying to maybe bypass speed bumps or stop signs. There's many reasons, I'm sure. So you're finding that there's consistent speeding on Murray?
Yes.
Okay. What are the concerns in your own neighborhood are you having?
People leaving their trash. I don't drive. I'm primarily a pedestrian, but I would walk along the sidewalk and I'll see things like use those medical grade masks. I'll see them just discarded along the sidewalk, and empty cans and wrappers, and it's almost, I think it's unsanitary.
And do you think people are throwing trash out of cars as well?
I can't say one way or the other because I've never seen him do that, but I do know that their trash walking up and down Murray is well, it's not good.
Okay. What else are people seeing?
I can't speak for others. I'm only speaking for myself. But that's just one of my concerns. The trash that people are leaving up along the sidewalk, and in the bushes, on the ground, like up near Rite Aid. There are actually couch cushions that someone discarded. No one has ever thrown away up there by Rite Aid on Allen and Murray.
I know for some other traffic concerns, I'm near the top of Mount Williams, so Sumac Street is the straight shot across the top. And we do experience quite regularly people speeding. And it's not necessarily a wide group of people. We can actually identify some of them. And we are kind of at a loss of what else we can do. I know other neighbors have certainly reported it, and other people have been spoken to. We've had the traffic speed sensor up here as well. So are other neighborhoods that you've heard in your work group been reporting the same type of thing?
They've been reporting problems with pass-through traffic. They've been concerned about speeding around school areas. Let's see, I can tell you. They have some concerns about the traffic process itself, but they're concerned about about general neighborhood traffic and a lack of solutions rather than speed bumps. I think that's one of the biggest concerns, and one of the a reason, my opinion, a reason why some of the projects have failed is people are not interested as much in controlling speed by a series of speed bumps, which I can understand as well. So, but I would say speeding is definitely the most reported concern.
And so speed bumps
and failure to stop at stop signs.
Oh, yes. So speed bumps are really the acceptable solution that we have in place right now?
Well, it depends. It probably depends on the street that you want them installed and the people that are living on that street, as far as whether they see that as an agreeable solution or not. Some places, a long street like Wilson, a series of speed bumps is probably a less satisfactory. They do work. The traffic engineers will tell you that they feel that for a street, for some of our streets, that's the only thing that seems to work. There are other suggestions for things like pedestrian crossings and traffic circles, or rumple strips, and what they call swales that kind of narrow a road. They are used for water drainage, but they also help to narrow the road at certain points, which will apparently will slow traffic down as people are cautious around them instead of just a straight shot. Some places are just may have maybe some streets can be large enough for traffic circles. Traffic circles can be different sizes. That's usually not within the budget. Okay. So I am. So am I hearing a general consensus that on that you're amenable to having the Traffic Commission look at changing the vote process?
Well, I have a question about what
I can put that back. I'm sorry.
I have a question about that, Konnette.
Sure.
Okay. So when you're saying 67% return of yes votes, that's like would be a proposal for to put in front of the Traffic Commission?
That would, this is an example that has been suggested. Okay. The Traffic Commission would then take our suggestions and review it and come up with a final
So I guess my comment about that is that if a very small number of votes are returned, then 2/3 of those being yes would they would be the deciding factor for the entire affected neighborhood, and that I think that may be problematic. Like if you only get I forget what some of your examples were, but if you only get 25% of votes returned and 2/3 of them, whatever that would be, 18 or something, and there were 100 households in that neighborhood, that's a small number deciding for the whole neighborhood.
I think I agree with you. I think that's, I think this example was, there was an attempt to say there had to be a minimum amount of total votes returned. So if it was 100 votes, a minimum in this case would be 67 votes need to be returned.
Yeah.
And then 60% of that. Go ahead. I want to hear what you say.
I'm sorry. Yeah. No. That's sort of what I was thinking. That it would seem like it would be more fair to everyone to have a minimum threshold, at least of votes returned.
So Konnette, is this going to go in front of the Planning Commission at any time, or where are we? I mean, I'm sorry, not the Traffic Commission, not the Planning Commission.
Yes, on June, so we're preparing for a June 3rd meeting with the Traffic Commission. We did talk to me and Highland Neighborhood Chair did talk to the council about what our concerns were and heard some important support from them. But the next step for BCCI is to go back to the Traffic Commission. They had asked for additional information and feedback from all of the NACs. So I think you guys are my last stop on that trip. And so I really appreciate the being scheduled and getting your comments. And I think that that's what is important about this, is that we are providing information and we will provide proposals to the Traffic Commission, but they will be reviewing this information, plus looking at it from their own perspective, and hopefully coming up with some improved suggestions.
And also to know, this will also have to, if it passes at the Traffic Commission, it also has to be okayed by the City Council. But generally the City Council follows, they do that with any changes to the rules, the ordinances in the city have to be approved by the council as well. But usually if the Traffic Commission says this is what we want, the council will just say that too. We'll go along with it.
That's exactly right. Possibly, but at this last meeting, I think they were hearing that there is a number of residents that are very dissatisfied with the mitigation efforts. A little bit different environment at this point. So, but you're correct. It is up to the Traffic Commission to go back to the council after we have given them more information.
So are you saying that people are talking to the council and they don't want the changes? Is that what you're saying?
So, oh, is she frozen or am I frozen? I'm frozen?
No, I can hear you. I just can't hear Konnette.
Oh yeah, Konnette, you're freezing a little bit.
Okay, sorry. Here, I'm good. My understanding from our meeting with council last week was that they will be following back up with with the Traffic Commission on hopefully making improvements. Oh, shoot, I did it. Did you get that?
No.
Sorry, I'm going to turn off my video.
Okay.
Okay, now can you hear me? I turned off my video. So my understanding is that the council is very much interested in improving the satisfaction of the traffic calming processes. And we'll be following up with the Traffic Commission regarding our comments and recommendations.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Definitely. Good luck.
You.
Thank you,
So
Konnette.
just to be clear, is it, yes, Joe?
No, go ahead. Thank you, and proceed forward.
I just, so to be clear, this NAC is giving me their support for changing the voting process is that correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Yeah, I feel that way.
And Richard, I will put that piece in there about a minimum threshold being an important piece of any change as your comment. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Konnette. We really appreciate your report. There's a lot more to it than I would have ever imagined.
That's what I found out.
Okay. The next item on our agenda happens to be the treasurer's report, and I can provide that information. So currently in our treasury, we have a balance of $8,146.82. Of that, $2,174 has been earmarked for our Pages as Pillars project. We haven't had any additions or expenditures in a while, and which is good and bad. No expenditures, that's always good. But once we do get past COVID and want to kick our projects into full gear again, we probably should consider some other money-raising ventures. Rich, it looks like you have a question.
No, I just, since you brought it up, I just want to say that I ran into Bill and Teresa Wood, and Bill instigated the whole, instigated, not the proper word, but started the whole Pages to Pillars some years ago. And I ran into them at the farmer's market a couple weeks ago, and it was really a joy to see them both. And it was one of their first times venturing out. So just want to acknowledge that.
That's great. Thank you, Rich. Yeah, we really miss Bill and Teresa. I know that we hate to see people leave the neighborhood. We should probably have them sign contracts. You must remain for 50 years.
Right.
But yes, Bill did wonderful work with the Pages as Pillars project. And we had talked about as a board what we would do with that. And right now with the schools just opening up, our feeling was we should probably touch base with the school and really reinstate it, or reinstate our active part of this in the fall. Get ready to do that again, because our expectation would certainly be that the schools should all be open and running at full bore come fall. Keeping our fingers crossed for that at least. But as I said, we do have funds that are earmarked. And of course, one of the things we do with this is apply for the matching funds grant with the city. And that just helps us be able to provide more funds to the school, providing books to the children, which has been going on for many years, more than a decade. So it'd be good to get back into the volunteer program of reading with the kids as well. And do we have a BCCI report this time? Linda?
Yeah, can you, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's been, Karen and I have been switching off as we were before. The most recent BCI was, we met the candidates for city councilor, and talked about the voters forum, which I happened to watch online. And Joe, you guys did a fantastic job with that. So if you haven't voted or haven't looked at that, that was great.
Thank you.
We also know that the city's working on the budget in May. That's their major thing. So they're busy with that. And we got some information about events for this year, and that they're going to try to do smaller but in-person events throughout the city, different things. So moving forward with that. And I'm trying to think of anything else that was just brought up recently. Oh, they're also now looking at the city managers that they're looking at, the 2 finalists, I guess. There's also a Zoom that you can go on and see the 2 finalists and get to know them a little bit more. And I think that's about it. The one thing I did want to say is we've talked throughout the year about things that NACs can do to get more volunteers or more people interested. And there's been a lot of talks about events and like shredding or having events. So, when we can get back together, I think that might be something that we need to think about to both either fundraise or to get people to come to the meetings and get a more active, maybe group of people.
Linda, did you say that the 2 city managers had a video clip?
There's a, they did similar to your voters forum thing, where they ask them questions and they introduce themselves, and that's, that you can get that online.
All right, thank you.
So, and that was interesting too, so.
Great. Thank you, Linda.
Yep.
Next,
Sue,
of course,
Sue,
yes.
Sue, did you forget about Miles?
I would never forget about Miles.
So
Miles,
I'm
you're
gonna
unforgettable.
I'm gonna let Amy do the city update, just so she can get her feet wet, since she'll be here more often than I will. I am gonna put the link to the city manager video in the chat, so you can just copy and paste it out of there if you want to watch it at some point. And I will say that the city updates are a little light this month because everything kind of happened at the beginning of the month. But go ahead, Amy.
Sure thing. Yep, so we do have 3 quick topics, and any of the links that I mentioned, I'll go ahead and put them in the chat also. So as Linda and Miles alluded to, we do have the city manager finalist update. City manager recruitment is continuing with we had opportunities for community members and staff to meet the finalists for the position. We had a virtual event for the public on Thursday at 6 p.m. and you can view the recording at beavertonoregon.gov/city-manager. And I think Miles added that link to the chat. A survey to assess community preferences was distributed afterwards to help with the decisions, and we expect appointment by City Council in the summer. Second topic is free tax help has been extended. Cash Oregon and Metropolitan Family Services will continue to offer tax preparation and filing services through July 15th to Beaverton residents. As you know, the IRS extended the tax deadline to May 17th, and beginning May 27th, assistance will continue after the deadline with services offered Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Call 503-966-7942 to make an appointment, and you can learn more at cashoregon.org. The final update is just about the City Council meeting times. They've moved to 6 p.m. Beaverton City Council will begin holding meetings at 6 instead of 6:30, while the current state of emergency is in effect, starting with the May meetings. And you can visit beavertonoregon.gov/city-council for agendas and additional meeting info. And I'll go ahead and add those additional links that I referenced in the chat.
I have a couple more updates that didn't make the list, but I'd like to share with you anyway. The The city council race looks like it's going to be a runoff. So neither of the, I think there were 4 listed on the ballot, reached the 51% threshold. So the top 2 will be facing off in November.
Turned out to be one of the weirdest elections I have ever seen. 4 people ran and 2 of them dropped out. So they were on the ballot, but they weren't. Well, wait, no, I take that back. One of them did. Someone else dropped off before they got on the ballot. And then one of them was running, but he didn't do very much. So we didn't see very much from one of the candidates. So there were basically 2 main candidates, and now there will be a runoff in November. And the really weird thing is, then they have to run again in 2022.
So everybody should have watched the voters forum, because that was obvious and it was very well done. So Joe, you guys did your best to try to prevent that, but I guess not enough people watched.
Right, right.
And then my second update is on the Housing Options Project. Just some quick background. The state passed a law that requires cities of a certain size to redo their development code to allow more dense housing options in single family neighborhoods. So things like duplexes, quadplexes, even the like courtyard apartments, or there's a bunch of different options. It's not like high rises going into single family neighborhoods, but just slightly denser. As part of rewriting the code, they are hosting a meeting on next Tuesday night. And I'm going to put the link in the chat, but I encourage you to attend. And then there'll also be an online survey on the same webpage to kind of judge what residents' preferences are. A lot of the options they have are kind of dictated by state law. So the city's trying to find where it can make choices and what the residents want from those choices. So I encourage you, it'll affect every neighborhood in Beaverton to some extent. So I encourage you to take a look at it.
Okay. Thank you, Miles. I was going to bring that up too, so thank you for doing that. Okay.
That's all I had to say.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Miles, for the city update. And is there any old business, like, I guess at this point, really old business?
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. I think what we have ahead of us is plenty of new business.
Well, I have some new business.
All right, Joe.
Well, a suggestion for a possible project. We had a meeting a night or 2 ago and talked about possible Mount Williams, and I mentioned that maybe there's some ivy growing on the trees. Well, I checked out Mount Williams Trail today, and there's no ivy growing on the trees. But while I was walking the trail, I thought, well, maybe it'd be nice, unless somebody already knows this, has this information, what kind of plants are in that Mount Williams park, what kind of trees. Maybe we can have a day where we get a whole bunch of people and we kind of just scour the area and make notes of the different plants that are there, maybe some endangered species for all we know, and have an arborist come along with us and help us out. So it's a possible event for our group. Maybe, have a group check out Mount Williams and see if we can figure out just what's there, and there's anything that needs to be done to protect the species that are already there.
That's a great idea. Even taking it further, it would be great if after things are identified, we could even fashion some sort of nameplates, tags or something like you would find in other parks, where it would identify, would probably draw some good attention to those species.
Right, right. Well, I'll talk
Maybe it's a
to-
matching fund.
Yeah, right. I'll give Dick Scouten a call because he was responsible for that, and he was on our HOA board, and I'll chat with him and see if there was any previous work done, and if not, then maybe at the next meeting I can come up with a proposal for the group to work on.
Sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What do the others think of that?
I think that would be fun. And we get some people out who want to see the parks. I thought it would be fun too. I personally would like to go to just all the different parks that we have in our neighborhood at some point. I think that'd be fun.
That would be. We could have like a little park passport.
Oh yeah, and have people. Yeah, I went to this one, and oh
Yeah, have a
yeah.
representative at each one. You could stamp it. It could be a whole neighborhood event.
Oh,
there we
that
go.
could be
An
fun.
event.
I think
There you
it's
go.
Okay. I've been making notes, taking the minutes. So if you see my head dipping down, that's what I'm doing.
That would be good, and then we could have a drawing for maybe someone. If you went to them all, that maybe you get some prize or something. Who knows? That could be fun.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Half a gallon ice cream or something. Good idea. I like that.
Okay. And that'll be so much fun. That'd be a great way to reinvigorate the neighborhood and say, yo, you have a NAC and here's a fun event. Come meet us all.
So I'll come at the next meeting, I'll come up with some kind of an idea and plan and shoot it out to you guys maybe before the meeting so you take a look at it.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Okay. And the other piece of business or new business is just for our June meeting. We are going to, and we'll continue being virtual in June. And for that meeting, we're going to have as a guest speaker, actually twofold, or could even be a third one. Well, yeah, I believe right now we have three. So we're going to be talking about the COVID restrictions and guidelines. And certainly this is a very dynamic topic. So what we see it as today may be entirely different by our next meeting. But we're going to have representation from THPRD, the Washington County Health and Human Services, and of course, our city.
And who finds those speakers? Well, Mike, I guess. You'll
Yes,
help
Mike,
us with THPRD. The guy, the park
And
guy.
and then most likely Amy, or someone who Amy would probably designate for the city, or Miles. And then from the Washington County Health and Human Services, I believe Cate and Joe have been working on that.
Well, I think the buck is currently back in Miles' lap on that one, isn't it? Or what would you guys suggest? I'm happy to call.
Sure, sure.
But for finding the speaker next month for from the Washington County Health and Human Services to talk about COVID at the county level.
Yes, I'm working on that.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you.
What a luxury. I come up with an idea and someone else does it. Hey,
Such a deal.
yeah.
Okay.
And
Is there?
Sue, would
Yes.
the meeting be at this time, this night, next in the months to come?
That's a great question. Yes. So we are planning on going with the third Wednesday of the month. And for June, definitely it will be virtual. Same start time where we would have our little social 10 minutes before regular business meeting beginning at 7. And then hopefully, we do always take a couple summer months off. We're hoping after that, maybe we'll be able to actually meet in person again.
So that's June 16th, Sue, right? June 16th?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I believe that is. Yes. Thank you, Joe.
I'm just checking my calendar. I actually won't be at that meeting, so I'll certainly have somebody designated to come and speak for THP.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just making a note of that. Are there any other points of information you would like me to add to our minutes? Any other discussion?
Sue, I have a kind of a new business topic too.
Okay.
So I think Linda, well, everyone here, Joe and Cate would like to join the board officially.
Mhm.
And so I think to make that official, we need a motion and a second and a vote to.
Okay.
To add
Okay.
them.
Is there a motion to approve Cate and Joe joining the board of the West Beaverton NAC?
Someone needs to say so
I
moved.
know.
As a neighbor, not the THPRD rep, but as a neighbor, yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
I'm not looking.
Yes.
Okay. Any opposed? All right. Then Cate and Joe are now official board members. And I know I had given Cate and Joe kind of a title. I know I gave Joe one as program coordinator. Of course, we can.
There you go.
Yeah,
Great.
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Cate can
Thank
be-
you all.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome, Cate. Welcome, Joe. And Cate, I don't even have to see you in person. You can tell me your t-shirt size and I'll just drop it on
Oh.
your doorstep.
I wear a large women or usually like a medium for men.
Okay. I believe these are all medium size. So you'll have your official West Beaverton NAC purple t-shirt.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
purple is our color.
Love it.
Yes, that's why I wore purple tonight. Okay. Is there any other business or any other comments?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Also move.
Oh, Heather sent a question. Yes, Heather, you get a t-shirt too. So if you can provide me with your address and shirt size, I can get one to you.
How about
Or even if you provide that to Amy, she'll get it to me.
I can, Heather, how about I put Sue's email in the chat for you? It's the official NAC email address.
Yes.
That work?
Mhm.
Can connect? Okay.
Okay, yes. All right. And, was there a second to adjourn?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Linda. The meeting is adjourned.
Okay, thanks, everyone.